Welcome to Jimmy Snow Has a Podcast for October 30th, 2024. The election is closing in. We are under a week, 6 days to go. We're going to talk about the polls, the politics, and other things happening in the news. And we're just going to console each other and maybe make a plan for the election day. That's going to be a big part of the show. What's our election day plan? Because I had a plan and I think I'm throwing it out for our big election live show and doing something else. This podcast, it's leftist, it's godless, it's dairy and bullshit free, just like me. Every episode I say that tagline and it feels cornier. It felt good the first time and now it's starting to feel bad. Y'all can leave comments if you're on a comment thing. Today we're gonna lean hard though into the political side, because at this point with the election closing in, the election is all that I really can think about. It's the thing that's preventing me from falling asleep, and then when I do fall asleep, it's the thing that's haunting my dreams. A reminder, the show is brought to you by the wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Jimmy Snow, where you can become a follower, a supporter, a proponent, a sponsor, or a champion. And they're all titled as such. Jimmy Snow has a supporter. Jimmy Snow has a proponent. It's the best Patreon that exists, except for that it isn't very good. Patrons always get the show ad-free and the extended episodes when we do the bonus shows on these things. But now, introducing once again the two wonderful hosts of Chewed Gum, and which is the merch I am rocking. It's Alyssa Ljub and Eve Was Framed.
Woo,
Hi,
I'm
ladies.
flipped. Hi. I just realized I'm the only one flipped. This is so awkward.
You're not flipped to us.
Oh, okay, great.
And you won't be flipped at the end.
Wonderful.
Okay. Let's start over again. No, I'm just kidding.
Jesus.
You ruined the intro. We're 3 minutes in.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's fine.
It just felt like the one loser. Okay, no, I'm not flipped. No, we're good. We're not flipped.
Everything's good.
Okay, I'm not going to touch it.
Wonderful.
I'm not going to touch it.
If you can do a flip, that you should do.
I can't even stand up right now.
Yeah.
Alyssa's a trooper right now.
I can do did you ever see Creed do a cartwheel on The Office?
Yes, I have. Like that?
I can do that. I can do a Creed level cartwheel for sure.
A Creed wheel.
Yeah. A Creed wheel. You ever just wish the music would fade itself out sooner? I mean, by the time we get to this post-edit...
It gets really intense, yeah.
Yeah. Is it pretty loud?
It's really loud.
It's always super loud to you. I have to have it down to one...
Maybe I have sensitive ears. Yeah, that's normal to me.
Okay.
See, and this is literally the lowest the volume goes on my end.
That's wild.
It is funny. It's a specific to you thing.
I will say, no, because I've seen people in the comments say the music is so loud. So I feel validated.
Those people are wrong.
Those people and me are wrong.
That's no. That's edited. What you hear is actually not what goes out.
I'm on your side. You're not alone. I want to validate
Except for that, you're having a different experience from them, because the preview you
can't
hear...
gaslight me now, Jimmy.
The preview you hear is not the audio they hear. It's actually just separate. It just plays the regular file, and in post, I have to go in and set the volume and the fades for it.
These technical things.
What you are justifying is a bunch of people who are just looking for something to comment and complain about, because the music's fine. You guys get the fuck over it. Now these are going to be the comments. Oh, I didn't know Jimmy Snow disrespects his audience. You thought I respected you? You like me.
Oh my God.
Of course I don't fucking respect you. I would never belong to a club that would have me as a member. Get the fuck out of here. I'm trying to remember who said that. I hope it wasn't a Nazi.
Jesus fuck.
I would never, but we'll be talking about Nazis in this for sure. I would never be a part of a club. Oh, okay, they're a member of a club that would have me. Who said it?
That's a hilarious thing to say. That's crazy.
I am worried though. Oh, Groucho Marx.
Okay.
Fine. Okay. Whatever. That's fine. I don't remember what he's mostly famous for. He was like a comedian of some kind, right?
I don't know. I never remember anyone's names. I have to Google them first.
People are going to be like, you fucking millennials. Yeah. He was an actor and a comedian and wore a big silly mustache. Yeah, anyway.
His mustache is a rectangle. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. His birthday was this month. Happy birthday.
I think he's been dead a while.
Oh, he's been dead since 1977.
That's a good long dead. That's a good long amount of dead.
Super dead.
How is everybody?
Fine. Been better.
This election season it's getting to me.
Yeah.
It's really getting. I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to not fall for the bullshit that spews out of Trump's mouth. I feel like he's trying to set us up for all kinds of I mean, he is. And I'm trying not to fall for it, but still, like, be realistic. I don't know.
Fall for it, Eve. Fall into my loving arms. You will have... I don't know if the size of my hands can sustain you, but you may be small, but my hands are smaller.
Eve today is going through the challenge of trying to not look at her phone while people are trying to blow up her life right now.
Yeah.
So you're going to notice her keep glancing
sorry.
down and then seem annoyed.
I'm about to put it away.
This is
this is the time in my life right now.
I get it.
I've been also just like living under a weighted blanket. I don't know what you guys' coping mechanisms are for all of this.
I haven't been doing a great job because I think I was not recognizing that it really was election stress. Like I just was been very distracted and very overwhelmed, but by nothing in particular. And it took me until literally last night when we were doing Chewed Gum and I was like, oh, it's because every time I open my phone and like my Nana's at my house right now and she just like watches the news all day for some reason. And so it's like I don't watch cable TV ever unless she's here. And the amount of commercials that are all just like about politicians, it's just I was like, oh, that's why, and I haven't slept in like a couple of days either, and I think that's what it is. I don't know what I thought was going on, but I didn't put it together until yesterday.
It's hard because it's so easy to see everything that's going wrong. I know Arden did some phone banking last night and she was like, okay, I have some optimism restored. Like we're jaded because we're doing these call-in shows where people are calling in to defend Trump and it makes us feel like that's like what's happening, that's what everything looks like right now. Yeah. And I hear that and I was basically like, I hear you, but let me shit on the hope that you have now was basically my response. Whereas I didn't actually say that. I was like, I just can't. I can't. Even hearing all of that wouldn't do it. I mean, Eve and we did that episode, or we recorded it over the weekend. It went out on Monday where we talked to so many people from the line, from our extended creator friendship network. Americans, in case anybody was wondering, I don't know that they'll hear this one, but if any of our Canadian friends were like, oh, they did a big thing with people from the line, but they didn't invite me, because I don't want to hear from you fucking Canadians. Get your own shit fixed. We were definitely talking. There was only a few people who were as pessimistic, I suppose, as we are, because I'm just sitting here going like, where is your impression that America doesn't suck?
Yeah.
Where is it like, and so I guess my hope is that now we're at the reverse of 2016, that people like saying they're voting for Trump out loud because it's both like a statement to make and it annoys people and stuff the way maybe they felt, and that they're actually more ashamed to admit that they're voting for Harris, and that we actually see a reverse of that. But sitting here, I'm just like, it's so close. And the national polls don't matter because Democrats have to poll way ahead of Republicans to win because of the whole electoral college thing. But, things are happening in this last week. By the time this episode comes out, there will probably be 9 more, October surprises, as they call them. I don't know if we're going to get like one proper big one like the past. I don't think we're getting another Hillary's emails or... what was the October surprise in 2020? I don't actually remember if there was one. Do y'all?
I don't remember. I don't
remember. October. So
no, I feel like there was one. Hang on.
I don't think it was the laptop, was it?
Maybe. Let's see. I'm gonna find out.
Yeah, I'm getting me chats GPTs on it. What were in October of 2020? Trump got COVID.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's not really like a reason not to vote for him. In mid-October, reports emerged about so that was the Hunter laptop. And then the appointment of Amy Coney Barrett was
my favorite. My favorite was Herschel Walker's son, Christian Walker, calling him out for like lying. Because I forgot that Herschel Walker was even running.
I know.
That was so bizarre. And I actually met him at a Walmart in 2020 on accident, like in gloves and mask and everything. He's standing
Wow.
there waiting to sign stuff, and nobody was there in line. And I happened to like turn, and he was like, "Hello, nice to meet you," and like introduced him. It was the weirdest. I was like, "What just happened? I don't even know who this is." And then it was announced he was running for president. Anyways,
And
weird
the rest of the story is he asked, "Do you want to hang out?" while handing her a check, and she's like, "What is this?" And he's like, "For the abortion," because you all remember that was his thing. Is he was a pro-life
hell.
candidate who had paid for multiple abortions.
God.
Yeah. That man, oh my God. The fact that also perhaps one of the worst dudes who could have been in that Senate seat running against Raphael Warnock, who's one of the best dudes who exist.
He lived in my neighborhood in Atlanta. We went to the same Thai place all the time. Like amazing human. Everyone who knew him thought he was great. So
Sweetest guy. He is the only okay, I'm trying to think of how to word this. So I've contributed to presidential campaigns, by the way, if you haven't yet. In these last days, definitely, if you have a little extra money, give it to the Harris campaign. I just gave extra, I think it was yesterday, I gave more to the Harris campaign, and I fell for one of theirs. All we need is $5 more. And I'm like, all right, I'll send more than $5. But anyway, the only like out of state non-presidential candidate I've given money to, I think I'm kind of trying to remember if I gave to Beto before I moved to Texas, but Raphael Warnock is like the only race that doesn't directly affect me or isn't a direct representative that I've contributed to. That's how much I like Raphael Warnock. He's a good guy, and he's a pastor. Me,
I know, isn't that
Jimmy
wild?
Snow gave to a pastor, dude, politician guy. I love him. He's just a good man. And I mean, he is a pastor, but he's a pastor of the church of MLK's old congregation. Yeah.
Yep.
He's the shit. I didn't actually prepare an upvote, downvote today because I felt like we would have enough to talk about in just wanting to make a plan, comfort each other, talk about some of the news that did happen in the last few days, talk about this rally that, some people did not see. How some people did not see the rally. How they did not see the rally.
Wow.
Some
Nice.
people did not
That's good.
see
Nice.
the Madison Square Garden rally. We'll call it the
that was-
Nazi
all saw
Madison
it.
Square. Also, I think it's really funny that Madison Square Garden is always abbreviated as MSG, but people keep talking about the MSG rally, and I'm like, did they have Chinese food? What happened at this rally?
I know I was going to like post something on Threads about it, and I was like thinking, what's the acronym? And then I was like, this can't be right. And I like said it out in my head. I was like, no, that's right.
That's right.
I related go ahead.
Can I just say like a funny pop culture thing about the MSG thing? Not about MSG like Madison Square Garden, about the rally. Vinny from Jersey Shore was there, and they caught him on the fucking camera. And I think that is just so mortifying. You absolute loser. Like, you fucking loser. Like, you were so unpopular on that show. He was trying so hard to be like the nice guy, and he still fucking sucked. And then he was at a Trump rally. Like, you really, like, the epitome of your dick must be tiny. Like, the epitome of you were cast on a TV show and were the least favorite is being at a Trump rally. Fuck you. I'm so mad at him.
Was Ronnie the least favorite? I thought the situation surely was.
Vinny. People loved the situation. Ronnie was the, like, least favorite in terms of, like, I mean... we all just like casually watch domestic violence on that show.
I was just going to say the domestic, but for the reality TV audience, domestic violence doesn't pull very low.
Especially for like the Jersey Shore type crowd, I think. But Vinny was like least favorite in terms of like, I think people disregarded him sometimes. Like, they just like didn't pay attention to him. Maybe he was just like, maybe it's like least memorable is really what I would say. And he was there with his fucking mother.
What a douche.
Unbelievable.
Who is the Jersey Shore audience? If you could just list off some demographics, would you?
Well, so I watched when it first came out. It came out on Thursdays, and I watched it live, like the first season, and then after that I didn't watch anymore. But I would say it was just like anybody who watched like MTV reality shows in general. But it was like the early 2000s, so it was very different than like what reality shows are now. Like we all kind of watched, not all of us, but a lot of us watched shitty reality TV shows because that was really all that there was. So
Any
I don't really
surprising
know.
demographics?
I like when I think about in my own life, I actually what I'm thinking of really is the Jersey Shore demographic, because my family goes to the Jersey Shore every year, and the people who are like Jersey Shore like till they die people are Trumpy. Like there are Trump flags everywhere. And just sort of like ignorant behavior. So that's
I'm
kind
aware
of what
of
I'm
one
imagining.
demographic that might surprise you.
What is it?
Newly atheist ex-Mormon who just broke his leg and is hopped up on Percocet, and there's nothing else on TV at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
in 2011.
That's
Yeah.
It was an entertaining show. I'll give you that. I watched it live.
It was a show.
I was still very Christian. I was not
so you were
watching.
not.
Although I was sneaking, what's the show? Dave Navarro, Carmen Electra.
Oh my God! What was that show?
Till
Hold
Death
on.
Do Us Part or something like that? Or
I don't know.
Oh
I
my
didn't watch
God.
whatever this was.
Dave
But I'll
Navarro
tell
is
you,
a freaky looking man.
I haven't
love
watched
it.
since, but whatever was out in 2011 when I broke my leg, I saw all of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
It was Till Death Do Us Part. Anyway, I thought that was crazy and the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. You are a public figure. You absolute loser. You went with your mom. You suck. And I just needed to say that out loud because I have no... It's like one of those things where I saw it and I was like, I have no one to talk about with this. I have no one to talk to about this.
All right, so who do you think? Well, let's run down the list. And this is important. This is the podcast. Sorry, everybody. We're going to run down the cast list and you tell me who you think they're voting for.
Okay.
The situation.
oh my God.
Surprisingly, I think
Yeah.
Harris.
I think so
Really?
too.
I think
Yep.
Harris.
Because he did the roast with them. He went and he did the roast and bombed. Did you see him on the roast of Donald Trump years ago?
No, I didn't. I didn't see it. But he, I think has like really evolved since he like went to prison and came out.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't know about that whole
went-
story, Arch.
Yeah.
Ronnie.
Trump.
That's a Trump. That's a wife abuser.
Trump.
And no, her body should be my choice. Kind of guy. Sam.
that's so bad.
Sammy. His
Trump.
victim.
I think Trump.
Really?
Yeah,
Ugh.
because she's like a Staten Island, Jersey, blah blah blah. That type of
because
demo.
I love the oppression and I love I feel
Yeah,
you.
and she's the sweetest.
guys.
What is it? The sweetest bitch you'll ever meet,
I'm
or something like
the sweetest bitch
that.
you'll ever meet, which is usually also a code for I'm abusive.
Yeah.
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 That's code for the cops are called to our house when it's just me and whoever alone, often enough. Dana, is that her name?
Who the
Danny?
fuck is-
Dana?
No.
Danae? I don't remember.
Dina.
Yeah, who's Dina
Danae.
voting for?
Are you listening these from memory?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I thought you were reading a
That's
list.
actually wild.
No,
you really did
I'm
watch.
remembering.
That's amazing.
But I got
Dina.
Dina wrong.
That's so funny. Dina, I think Harris.
You think so?
I think so. I think she's a little more with it. Same with like
JWoww.
Trump.
JWoww's a Trump. Ugh.
I don't
Trump.
know most of these names,
Yeah.
but Wow is that a she?
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would that one sound familiar to me? Was she especially?
She was like Snooki's best friend.
Oh,
She had,
Snooki,
like,
I remember that one.
yeah, she
Yeah,
had
we're getting
giant
there. Okay.
fake boobs.
Yeah.
Her extensions were crazy.
She had fake boobs. I don't know about giant.
I remember
Is
her
she the
looking like a
one
blow-up
that
doll.
there's like a meme of her like crying with like mascara like pouring down her face or something?
I think that was Snooki.
Or is that
That's probably Snooki.
okay?
That's kind of snooky. I guess I've been, in the last few years, we've redefined what we call giant. But yes, back in 2011, we were still
Yeah.
getting over. My goodness, I went back and I feel so horrible about what I was attracted to as a teenager.
Yeah.
But like that's what culturally was put into. I remember I had a lot of, let's just say, teenage good times with the music video These Boots Are Made for Walking by Jessica Simpson.
yeah.
And I went back and I looked at it a couple years ago and I was like, what the fuck? Like, we were so awful to these women. And then I remember when she just like put on weight and became normal size, and everybody was like, oh.
And people were like calling her a whale, and she was like a size 8.
Yeah, that was insane.
Crazy.
And now I'm sitting here going like, I have different tastes. My tastes have evolved. It's fun to squeeze anywhere and it feels soft. Anyway, this is the evolution of man, and holy crap, we were just like really insisting everyone not eat. How did they perform? Because like if I don't, right now I haven't eaten yet today, and I'm already getting like the haven't eaten dizzies a little bit. I'm like, if I had to walk around, that wouldn't be dope right now. Like dancing on, I don't understand how these people had the energy to do anything. I guess you probably just like went on pure adrenaline. But yeah, anyway, it was a fucked up thing. And back then, in back then standards, not that I want to be focusing on this too much, but I remember back then being like, yeah, Jessica Simpson, huge boobs. And now we just have a totally different, the world that we live in now.
Yeah.
It's a better world, but it's a different world.
Did you hear about a study that they did in, I think it was Fiji, before westernized television came to Fiji? They did a study on the way that women perceived themselves, and the body type that women preferred was a little more voluptuous, like more curvy. And then they brought westernized television, like 90210 was a big one for them, and there was another like California-based show similar to that, that they brought to Fiji, and within a year, the rate of eating disorders went up like 80-something%. Like it was like literally the most direct correlation to westernized media I've ever seen in my life. It's an incredible study. If you ever feel like you will,
it's so
you know
sad.
what? Maybe after the election.
Yeah, well, yeah. We'll jump back in. I was going to make a point about also, can you believe we just used to not like butts? And now we're like, guys.
Anytime I'm watching like
butts.
a show that was filmed in the 90s or a movie and they're like fat ass and it's like in parentheses derogatory, I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
We liked our butts convex back then.
Literally convex.
Is that the right
long
word?
back. Yeah, convex.
Yeah.
We wanted long back only.
Which is what I still ironically have. Even though I've lost so much weight, even when I had all that more weight on me, I've never had an
long
ass.
back.
My whole life, it's just back legs.
Yeah.
At some point, there's a hole in the middle. That's how you know where my ass
Oh my
is.
God.
I think, Jimmy, that you have spent all of this time evangelizing in your youth, and that's what how you pay for it. No butt.
That could be. I had no butt then, though, either.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that's sort of like the price that you paid.
It's like a future karma.
Yeah, exactly.
And past karma and present karma. It's very much a present karma. But, you know, I could just do squats, but I'm not going to do squats. Anyway, Snooki, who do you think Snooki's voting for?
I think Harris. I think she's more with it than we give her credit
Are we
for.
able to find out any of this? Like, I wonder if any of them have posted on their social media.
I feel like...
I'm going to go look.
Yeah.
ChatGPT might know.
Yeah.
And then the last one, Don't Break My Heart, because he was the only one I found remotely charming in his sort
Vinny?
of dumb silliness. No, Pauly.
I mean, Pauly. Honestly, I don't know. He's a wild card for me because he's very much a part of like he DJs all over, and so he's like a part of like pop culture in a different way now, I think. I mean, not that I give a shit where he's DJing, but I know he still works and like does all of this stuff. I don't know. Because I feel like a lot of the entertainment, like traditional entertainment, aside from like maybe like the yeehaw side of it, is pretty liberal. But I don't know. I'm not sure about him. He's a wild card for me. I can't really tell.
Is he the one that... yes, the hair. Okay.
Complexion of a hot dog.
Is Phil Murphy a Democrat or Republican, the governor of New Jersey?
I want to say Republican.
He replaced Christie, but I don't know if that was probably just term, right?
He's
a Democrat. Okay.
He's a Democrat.
So Pauly D expressed excitement for Phil Murphy.
Okay, that's great.
In 2017. So that's 8 years ago.
Phil Murphy is a crazy looking man. He looks British, if you know what I'm saying.
Who the fuck was Angelina Pavarnik?
Oh, Angelina. That's the one that
Season one.
JWoww. Yeah, JWoww said you can stay and get your ass beat, or you can stay and get your ass beat, or you can stay and get your ass beat. And I will never forget that. Those are immortal
I feel like I
words for
have
me.
to go watch this show now. This is so much I've missed out on, you guys.
You don't need to. And I feel like so many people have lost. I want to remind people I was 21, broken leg, 2
I was in high
Percocet every
school.
4 hours. I was
in high school, and it was of the time. It was of the time, you know? It's one of those things where if I wouldn't even try to watch it now, because I think I would be so mortified that I was entertained by that. But, like, all that stuff is, like, imprinted in my brain. So, anyway, the people who listen to this podcast are going to be, like, so upset that I just monopolized so much of this conversation. But,
I did it. This was not you.
okay.
This was me.
I'm glad you're taking responsibility for
I am the conductor of this train.
Anyways, how else are we coping? Sorry, I'm asking a question and it's your podcast.
I actually want to know, we can do the coping too. I want to establish where everybody thinks the country is right now. With the last few days, we're going to be talking about that rally that people did not see, and everything else going on. Do you feel better? Do you feel worse? What do you feel? Eve, you go first.
I feel not good.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm also not realizing, because I know this, but no matter what the outcome is, we still have a major problem. I mean, it's a lot easier to solve if it goes one way, but these things don't just go away. Like these conversations with family members, or like, you know, not being able to be in contact with certain people, like all of that doesn't just go away. It's not like, oh, the person we wanted won, and so now everyone's happy. Like that's not what's going on. So I think that's where I'm sitting at right now, is just this place of like, how the fuck? I mean, I know how we got here, but like, why the fuck is this where we're at? And to me, that's discouraging no matter what. Sorry, that's like a very negative place to take it, but that's how I feel. I'm disappointed. I'm sad. There's so many things that aren't going to get solved next week, no matter what happens. And it is also frustrating to feel like there is a side of people that don't recognize that. Where they are just going to be celebrating. And it's not like I wouldn't celebrate if Harris wins. Mostly I'll just be relieved. And there's some cool things about, you know, her becoming president that I love the idea of, but also I'm still going to be frustrated and pissed off about so many things. And it's like, where do we go from here? Because the reason we got to this place is the same reasons why we're going to have so many problems no matter what after. And what's the answer? What do we do from there? What conversations need to be had that we've been needing to have, you know? Anyways, I could go on and on and on, but that's where I'm at with it.
As of today, the polling, which this is what kind of is fucking me up, of the 54 million early votes already cast, which, by the way, is a lot. That's a lot of early votes.
It is.
41% Democrat, 40% Republican, and then 19% no data available, which suggests that perhaps Republicans and Democrats are neck and neck, which usually early voting heavily favors the Democrats. Yeah. So the question becomes, if Republicans are now more likely to show up early than before, are Democrats now more likely to show up day of? And I will tell you also, the young people numbers really fucking suck on this.
Really?
Yeah, big time. So of the people who have voted early, and let's be clear, the younger you are, the more likely you are to put it off until the day of because of procrastination. I was about to say,
I don't know that they're doing
but then also just not do it. That's the problem, is that you put it off until, and then day of comes, you're like, well, I put it off, and well, my vote won't actually matter. And so I also feel like most likely to have a big shift in the number of people who say they're going to vote and don't actually vote is young people. Only 8% of the 18 to 29-year-olds are represented in the early voting. The mail-ins, like that number should be higher just because mail-in exists. Because you should have registered and gotten your ballot. And in several states like Colorado, I think Arizona might have mail-in, Washington State, you have
New York
these places.
has mail-in. That's how I voted this year.
Right. It's so easy to do, to either literally mail it in or fill it out and drop it off. And the fact that young people who should be able to figure that out better than their old ass compatriots, they're not doing it. They're not showing up. And, every time this happens, last time when it's like, cool, thank you, young people, for fucking us by not voting. And they're like, well, we voted in higher numbers than our millennial counterparts did before us. And it's like, do you want a cookie for sucking slightly less? Because guess what? I was one of the motherfuckers who still voted back then. I was one of the ones who did. And I wasn't sitting there doing what you're doing now, defending, well, at least there was more of us. I was calling out my millennial fucking allies, teammates, whatever, and being like, hey, we fucking suck. We could have picked the president. We could have chosen, and we decided to give that power away. And so, yeah, I have no qualms about when people are like, shut up. My Reddit opinions matter more. What I do from the activism I do from my toilet is the highest form of activism. Fucking pieces of shit. Go vote, you dumb assholes. Anyway, only 9% of my age group, 30 to 39. So once again, fuck millennials also. We could pick the president. We could figure out mail-in systems. We could pick. Guess what percentage of the early and mail-in votes are just over the age of 65? Of the 54 million, what percentage would you guess are over the age of 65?
A lot. I'm going to go with like 36%.
What do you got, Alyssa?
42. I don't know.
You're both short.
Really?
Alyssa was closer. 45%.
Wow.
Over the age of 65 voted early or mail-in. And this is my fucking problem, is that when you look in the past, they basically are picking the president. These people who listen, if you are old, you deserve to have a voice and to vote for people who are going to protect Social Security and everything else. But why young people want to say, let's let just them pick every time, and these people who will not be around as long as the people who will not be as affected by the future problems that, say, new Supreme Court justices solidify for decades, let's let them pick our president for us. Only 27% are between the ages of 50 and 64, and 11% between the ages of 40 and 49. So millennials fucking suck. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, I don't know if Gen Alpha is 18 yet. Are there any Gen Alpha 18-year-olds? How old is Gen Alpha these days?
I don't think so.
I have no idea.
I think Gen Z, I have a friend born in 2000 and she's still Gen Z and she's 23. So if Gen Alpha, it's like going to be a very, very, very small, like 2 years of Gen Alpha or something.
Yeah, I doubt it is actually even that, because I think, let's see, Gen Alpha, okay, the oldest person in Gen Alpha right now would be 14. So Gen Alpha, you still have potential, but I bet you fucking suck when it comes time to the next election, which some of you will be able to vote in, and then most of you, or a large portion of the election after. Because it's so fucking funny to me that people are like, we have to reform the system and totally change it and fucking boo-boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And then you just sit there and you look at the numbers and go, you don't even fucking show up. So how are you going to change it? You could literally, if you would mobilize 50% of these three groups toward a candidate, you'd always pick the president. Like every time, even if it was another party, but you don't fucking show up to try and improve the system within the parameters that already exist, let alone pretend that you're some revolutionary that thinks like, this is the time. And I'm so fucking tired of year of election activists who are like, okay, the election's coming in, so now I'm gonna voice my support for a terrible third party candidate and be like, aren't you guys tired of two choices? Yeah, and I'll see you after the election and what actual work you do. And yet come this February, probably sooner than that, but come this February, they'll all be done talking about how much we need to change it and have new parties and we need new options and third party and ranked choice. All of that activism will be gone. It just pisses me off. America might be gone by February, but also that.
What's frustrating to me is I know on the other side of things that Christian nationalists are fucking organized for like 25 plus years now that I've been aware of. They're training people actively to grow up and become politicians. And some of them are already now in office. Like it's working. Yeah. They are focused every single day. They don't just come around to election season and get into it. They are doing this stuff. They're not just talking about it. They are actively doing it. And we don't, that is, I mean, and everyone says this, that is the weakness of whatever the left is in the US. Like, we're not, we're not doing that.
I feel like it's because I think about, like, I have my best friend works in politics, and she is and it's like she's the chief of staff for a city council member in New York, and she is the most overworked, underpaid, burnt out person I know. And I think part of it is from the actual job, and part of it is from the, like, just being so aware of everything that's happening. And so I feel like when you're on the conservative side, you've created this reality for yourself that is just not as exhausting as the actual reality is. And it's like shitty because I recognize that. And also this is not a system that's working. Like, we cannot proceed like that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And it makes, of course, we get all excited when, shit actually hits the fan and we have to show up and vote or decide if we're voting or whatever everybody's doing right now. Mm-hmm. But we have to get better at finding this energy, like Jemmy's saying, in February. Let's make a difference. Let's actually do stuff so that we don't keep coming back to these moments where it's the most defining election in American history and it gets worse and worse and worse every year. Yeah. I'm really tired of my vote having to be, hey, I don't want this fucker again. Like, right. That is so annoying that right. I just keep having to use my vote to try to hold off the shitstorm that's been brewing for years and years and years.
So if there's a remotely hopeful bit of stat in these, and there's not a lot, but it is that of the early voting, 53% of that is women versus 45% men. And that, I guess, brings me a little bit of hope, because you got to think that probably leans Harris. You got to think that probably leans people wanting to preserve abortion rights. Now, notably, there are 4 states missing: Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky, and Missouri from these numbers, because they don't report early or don't offer significant early voting. And that would definitely skew, I feel like, those, when it's that close, 53 to 45, it probably actually isn't that close nationally. However, since none of those 4 are swing states, you can still kind of take a little bit from it. Now, if we actually go and we look at the swing states and we look at, say, Pennsylvania, where it's 56% were women, Florida, 54% women, which isn't actually a swing state. And yet I kind of like, Florida's my potential surprise of the night. Florida's the one that I think might get swung, might get changed, because they have a constitutional amendment for abortion on their ballot to try and undo their really cruel 6-week ban. Florida's like my maybe could happen. So Florida right now, 54% women in those early ballots. I'm hoping that means that maybe that surprise scenario. It's also hard to say, like, when we were talking about the party stuff, party registration, 19%, when it was 41% Democrat to 40 to Republican, 19% undeclared. So it's kind of a question of
what are they doing? Right.
Are those mostly independent voters because they're voting third party? I don't think we're going to have a 19% third party level vote. Or is that,
who knows,
reporting issues? Are they still people who are mostly, how much does the 41 to 40% number change? But Georgia has, what was it? Georgia also 56% women voting early. Texas, 54%. Texas, I don't anticipate is going to flip this time, but it would be amazing if it did. It'd be amazing if we got our shit together. There are enough people to flip Texas. If you actually polled everybody in Texas and everyone actually got a vote who is a citizen, you got a ballot to all of them and asked them to choose, Republicans would literally never win again. It's just they are so good at convincing brown people that their vote won't matter. And if they do vote, somebody they care about might be in trouble in some way, because registering to vote might connect. They are so good at making brown people not feel like they should vote in Texas that even though they would never win, they always do.
Do you think
there's locally gerrymandering stuff?
Do you think there will be an impact from the Madison Square Garden like hate speech situation, because I don't know if you guys saw, Bad Bunny then went on to endorse Harris, who that's basically, from what I read, I think that's bigger than Taylor Swift endorsing as far as the impact that can have on voter registration, all of that. Although now it's too late to register, so that's frustrating that endorsement came later. However, do you guys see that creating a shift or change in anything?
I imagine it's bigger specifically for potentially Puerto Ricans, because Bad Bunny is Puerto Rican and is beloved by Puerto Rican communities. I don't know if it's a bigger overall. You'd kind of hope so, but at the same time, it's like Taylor Swift, she had a bigger impact on registrations, like you just pointed out. But Taylor Swift
and like a couple other, Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, and Olivia Rodrigo had voter registration at their concerts, which was interesting. And so
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, while they were on tour, I think you got to enter a giveaway or something if you registered to vote while you were there, which was cool, and I like that initiative. Bad Bunny is interesting though, because Bad Bunny is really important to the Puerto Rican people, because he constantly speaks about Puerto Rico and advocates for Puerto Rico in ways where many other Puerto Rican artists, I guess, don't do the same way. For a really long time, he wouldn't do interviews in English at all. He refused to do English interviews. He's very, and then people got very upset when he started. I think he fake dated Kylie Jenner, and people got very upset. But he also, whatever. He also is an interesting person because in an environment where there's a lot of patriarchal standards, where there's kind of that machismo vibe in their culture. He is a person who was coming to the stage with acrylic nails and really interesting makeup and really interesting hair and sort of gender bending. So I also wonder for people who are already Bad Bunny fans, I kind of feel like they would have been maybe a little more liberal leaning anyway. So I'm curious to see what if anything that does. Because I feel like Bad Bunny, though, he's so significant culturally, and he also already is a symbol of breaking away from a more traditional view for the Hispanic male
so you think he's maybe already challenged a lot of that sort of thinking anyway, so it's not that big of a
which I could be totally wrong. Sense. My best friend is also the one who works in politics is also Puerto Rican, and so I hear a lot of her perspective on specifically Bad Bunny. And so I'm curious what she would have to say about that endorsement. I do wish it came earlier. I mean, you had to wait for this man to say that your island is a floating pile of garbage for you to come on.
The biggest thing with that is whether something could have an impact literally only matters registration's done.
Yeah.
So what matters is there are going to be every election, there's a huge number of people who registered to vote, declared they were going to vote, and then they don't actually show up. And when we looked at Texas's numbers, it would have only taken something like 20% of the registered Democrats who didn't vote. In other words, the ones who said they were going to and were Democrats to actually cast their Democrat vote, and Texas would have gone blue in 2020. That's how dumb we are. And so the thing right now is just trying to increase turnout. And so whether or not Bad Bunny can flip a vote, very unlikely. Whether or not Bad Bunny or or we'll just say the incident from MSG could discourage a Puerto Rican from voting for Trump or encourage one who wasn't necessarily actually going to show up on the day, but now actually does feel motivated to vote then or vote early. If you can catch them in the passion of fuck this, fuck that, I'm going down to the polls right now to do it. That's what everybody's fighting for right now. There's a pretty big population of Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania. And I think a big portion of them are registered to vote. And Pennsylvania is one of the big ones we're watching because it probably is the case that whoever wins Pennsylvania is going to be the president. And if it could just sway enough of those, because that election is going to be close, You know, at the end of the day, if Harris wins and it's only by a few thousand votes in Pennsylvania, it will be the case that you'll be able to say that Nazi rally probably played a part. And for those who are listening who don't know what we're referring to with this Nazi rally, there was a rally over the weekend in Madison Square Garden where they tried to do this super rally. But it was, first of all, before you even add into the, like, there was this comedian, Tony Hinchcliffe. He's a roast comedian. He makes offensive jokes for it. It's funny. I'm almost not as we already know he's a Republican. We already know, like, if you knew who Tony Hinchcliffe was before this, which apparently most people didn't, he also is a shock comic. The thing that honestly is more offensive than his jokes is the way the audience liked his jokes so much. Because there's groaners, and then there's, yes, I'm laughing because, oh, it's funny because it's true. And so if he had made that joke and it had been, and the joke was something basically that there's an island of trash floating in the ocean and it's called Puerto Rico. If he had made that joke and the audience was like booing it, they're like, oh no. But they weren't. They fucking loved it. They ate that up. They ate his black watermelon joke. The open arms to Mexico, but it's opening his arms and sending them, like, saying go back. And
then who was it?
He knew what audience he was playing to.
Right. And then there was the other guy talking about only Americans are allowed in America, or whatever that quote was. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That's Stephen Miller, the fucking the man who figured out how you in fact can be both Jewish and a Nazi. Because Stephen Miller is responsible for, like, a lot of the most extreme anti-brown people stuff out of the Trump administration from 2016 on. You know, big influence on the Muslim ban, big influence on the send them back and kids in cages thing. Like, he is when you listen to this man talk, and if I don't know if you all saw it, but back in like 2018, I want to say, he went on Jake Tapper's show. Jake Tapper, who will give anybody time and be charitable with it, and starts trying to excoriate Jake Tapper for even challenging the notion that Donald Trump might be a genius. And the guy, he just starts going off because it turns out he is a genius and it's embarrassing that you would be here questioning that. And he just starts, like, filleting Trump on Jake Tapper's show. And so Jake Tapper actually does what he almost never does, which is cut him off and say, we're moving on because you're being obsequious and playing for an audience of one. And he just cuts him off and returns to the camera, and they're escorting him out because he's such a fucking just a little simp bitch. I think Stephen Miller is probably my least favorite person who exists. And I worry he has a pathway to presidency in the future, because seriously.
We have to acknowledge that about all these guys over there with Trump and why they're there, because they're hoping that they get to be the next one. And honestly, most of them are scarier than him. They're like, how could you say that? Very easily. Trump is just like this amazing puppet that they found that will just say whatever the fuck. And, you know, he has the audacity. But they have actual plans, not just concepts of plans. And that's the scary part.
But he's writing the speeches and the plans. And I think that he's actually one of those. So you said the others are scarier than him. I think that's actually incorrect. And it's for a couple of reasons.
No, scarier than Trump, not than
Oh, got
him.
you. Yeah, okay.
That's my point.
I thought you were saying you were more scared of.
No.
Stephen Miller's the people everybody's sleeping on that shouldn't be.
I would still pick Trump actually over, like, J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller and all, because that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Stephen Miller has managed to stay in his Stephen Miller has never, think about everybody who has left Trump's orbit because Trump ends up hating them or they end up hating Trump. He's been with him since, I think, 2015, since campaigning, and is still with him today. Is still one of his top advisors. Writing speeches, in fact, often when you hear, like, oh, we got a snippet back in the past where you'd be like, we got a snippet that was cut from a Trump speech that was going to be extra racist, you find out that was a part that Stephen Miller wrote.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, and then what's really infuriating, J.D. Vance, you know, he was asked about the rally. And did you guys hear what he was saying? No. First of all, he denied that he was like, oh, I didn't hear the joke.
I did not see the joke.
Right. But then he goes on to say, but I have to say, though, we're too sensitive and we don't have a sense of humor and blah, blah. And he went that whole route, which is so frustrating because that's going to work. Like, that rhetoric does work because everyone was cheering. They're like, yeah, we need to get a sense of humor. And it's like, freedom of speech is active. It's working. That you just went and proved that it is. But that's not the take here, because what we have is the context of where I don't know.
He also melts down over
This
things
was
he
not
was
a
offended about by Biden, for
Yeah,
the
of
record,
course,
too. Like,
of course.
that's the irony.
It's also, this was not a stand-up show. Like, this was
Right.
not, people didn't go to, like, the Comedy Cellar and hear a racist joke. That's not
this
what
is a campaign
was.
rally for President of the United States
Right.
of
Yeah.
America.
Like,
It's
the
absolutely
context
insane.
is tremendously important. Like, that's a crazy thing to say. But I'm not surprised. Like, that is exactly...
Of course.
I'm so tired of that. I'm so tired of that language, of that it's a joke. We need a sense of humor. Everyone's taking everything too seriously. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
Also
and-
coming from the most easily offended
Right.
people that take everything out of context and
Right.
lose their fucking minds and
Oh,
have
yeah.
no sense of humor.
Yeah, you're not allowed to say a single thing about Jesus around these people. By the way, Jesus sucked my dick. But guys, watch. We'll get the comments. They'll be there.
That's impressive.
Oh,
You were actually able to locate him. I'm still wondering where Jesus is. That's where he
Listen.
was. He was sucking Jimmy's dick.
The holes in his hands serve multiple purposes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Long back.
Just
That's
saying.
why.
Just saying.
You
They're
earned
tight.
that. You earned that long back with comments like that.
That's me clapping for people who don't, weren't seeing
Glad
it.
you clarified.
Yeah, not to mention, literally, they're talking about offended, and then Marjorie Taylor Greene that day gets up and goes, "I'm offended. They're calling it a Nazi rally." And it's like, well, stop being so offended. Stop being. It's ironic that Republicans call everybody snowflakes and talk about being offended when they are. And I literally have dealt with them and their ilk, their people, their Christian nationalist a-holes for the last however many years now. They are the most sensitive people in the world. Literally the most. They will get. Imagine, I love too when I hear it from like a Mormon who will also go out of their way to ask you not to cuss. Or like just in general, people who are like, hey, when you're talking around me, could you communicate in a way that comports with my religion? Could you follow my religion's rules, even though you're not a member of it? And then they're like, but you guys are so sensitive and you just want to rule and you want to be authoritarian. It's like, you literally want to stop people from marrying people they love, expressing themselves the way they want to express, including in ways that do not affect anybody else, doesn't hurt anybody fucking else. Like, you guys literally can't handle that other people are different than you. You're offended by the existence of anything other than what you are. Mm-hmm. And you want to call other people sensitive. It's just fucking nuts. Last things to hit very briefly here. Also this week, we heard from RFK Jr. saying that Trump has basically promised him control of the health-related parts of our government. So that's dope.
That's terrifying
dope.
to watch. That was terrifying to watch.
You just got to hope that there are adults in the room who are going to keep pretending to mishear him.
Right.
Because it's easy to mishear what he's saying. It's also easy to drown him out so you don't fucking listen. I know that it's rude and maybe a little bit ableist, but his voice makes me want to just stab myself in my head. RFK Jr. I can't handle this for too long. I know it's not his fault, but it sounds like, listen, if somebody else came in and their vocal problem was that they like shrieked, we wouldn't be like, well, you have to love the shrieking.
Right.
Like, vote for me for president.
Well, I mean, even in the beginning of Kamala running, that was like a thing that people would talk about all the time, was her laugh. And it was so, I was like, you actually are fucking with me that's what you're bringing to the table.
Matters.
That's what you're bringing to the table.
You're going to vote for that cackle?
That cackle?
You vote based on cackle, you fucking idiot?
And also, like, if you think that her laugh is bad, but you don't think that Trump literally saying any words is not worse, that's crazy. Because, please.
Also, Trump doesn't laugh. You want a person who's not capable of actual joy? Actually, I shouldn't say that. I am aware that there are clips of him laughing, but it only happens if he sees a homeless person being kicked out of an encampment. That's the only time he laughs. And
God.
No, that's not true. I was just saying fucked up things. But I've never, like, have you ever seen him actually? I remember when they did his roast and somebody would do a good joke and he purses his lips and then he moves to the side and looks at somebody. This is literally when somebody makes a joke.
Ugh. Yuck.
Except for that my beard makes it look like I have a chin. He doesn't have one of those. I don't either, but look at the length of this thing.
The beard does wonders.
It's painting on a chin for me. Thank you. Thank you. I do have Trump chin. I like to make fun of his chin, and I feel like I get to because I have one. Like my ass, it just goes mouth, neck.
Long.
Mouth, neck.
And there's like a face, neck, and then there's a mouth in the middle. You locate the parts by where the hole is.
Can I say one more thing about the Can I say one more thing about the rally? Because I just remembered this also. That the one borough in New York City that is heavily like Trumpy is Staten Island, which ironically is an island that is built on garbage. So I thought that was really funny.
That is ironic.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is New York City has so many Puerto Rican people. There are more Puerto Rican people in New York City than there are in the city of San Juan. So that felt like a very confusing point to hit as well.
Yeah.
Why did we do that?
I mean, they were never going to win New York, though there are Republicans who weirdly think that's on the table now. They're like, that was such an awesome rally. New York's now in play. Are you fucking dumb?
Also, MSG has only 20,000 people, which is a lot of people in general, but it's not that many people when you consider how large New York City is, and then on top of that, New York State. So it's not that big of a deal. Everyone can fucking relax.
Did you see Harris's rally,
though? In terms
though?
of size. No, I did not. Was
in
it bigger?
Washington? Yeah.
Of course it was.
Beautiful.
Of course it was.
As
And
I
it was
recall,
so
the
classy.
overflow audience of just the people who were in the places that weren't the official were larger than the MSG rally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it.
I want to take some hope from that, but it's fucking hard to hope for anything these days.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's going to be president and Tim Walz is going to be vice president. That's what I'm still calling.
They're saying, I just looked, the updated report is that there was 75,000 people at that Ellipse rally.
For Harris?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
People are actually excited for her, but you wouldn't know it. A lot of people are framing it as though it's only a protest vote against Trump again, like it was in 2020, largely a protest vote against Trump. There are people who are actually excited. I'm really hoping, what I want more than anything, because right now you can't sleep on the polls. You can't, even though you want to. Now, you shouldn't take the polls as gospel either. And I'm hoping that we get through this and it's like, holy fucking shit, how do we get polling so bad again? And it's going to be obvious things like, well, which demographics of people are going to be willing to stop their day? I was on the phone with a special person in my life the other day. We were on FaceTime, and while we were FaceTiming, she got a poll call, which is crazy. I think she's the first person I've ever seen actually get one that I actually know.
I was about to say,
like,
who are these people
Who's getting polled?
It's not me.
I wonder that all the time too. I'm like, how are they even conducting this? Because I guess phone calls.
And she took it. Well, it's not only phone calls, but yeah, I know it's and it's not. There are people who are like, polling is outdated. They only use landlines, and it's like, you fucking idiot. No, they don't.
Yeah,
what the fuck is wrong with you? The way people will, they've just heard in the past, like somewhere only used landlines. But then there's also just the question of, are the people who are more or less willing to take a poll and be like, no, I don't have the time right now, do they more often skew one way or another? And do we adjust for that? But I don't know. I hope that it turns out the polling's crazy wrong and we just have some amazing night on Tuesday. But
yeah, I'm sort of like mixed on if I really want to even ever pay attention to polls, because I don't feel like they are accurate enough for me to like have a meltdown over. And it's sort of like, I almost think that my coping mechanism now is to sort of, I put in my vote and I will continue to share because I have a platform when I see things that I feel like need to be shared, which I even am 50-50 on how often I share things, because it's so overwhelming and it's such a dark cloud for people that I'm like, it's a hard balance between wanting to be a break from that and also being responsible with the eyes that I have. But I also am sort of like, is now the time where I create an echo chamber for myself and I just don't pay attention to the polls anymore? Is now the time where I isolate from what might happen because I have no control over it anymore?
I feel like that is a really good way to get to the last topic I have, which is I think I want to throw out the playbook I had for our episode this coming Tuesday, where it was going to be like very structured, very like we're going to do our own like competing with. And in the past, we've kind of the first year we did it for the 2020, we did it. It was a pretty big show. And then we got a little more formal with it when we did it in 2022 for the midterms. And so now with this one, I think I want to go the opposite direction. I think I'm even going to, just for this show, have a brand new method of streaming using not brand new, but other people have used it. Something where anybody at any point of the night can drop in from the line. Everybody has a link. They can come in and share what they're thinking and stuff, and make it as casual as possible. I think if I make it too formal and I'm like, we're here doing this and it's fucking this and blah, 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 I think I'm going to fucking throw up. I think I just need to be able to come in and be like,
hang out.
Yeah.
Let's hang out. Let's cover it. Let's give updates. And then let's play fucking games in the meantime.
That's what Alyssa and I were talking about that last night on Chewed Gum when we have our episode on Wednesday. Depending on how things go, Alyssa was like, we should have a celebratory, like if Harris wins, like have like a little tipsy night. And I was like, let me tell you, we might need that no matter what.
No matter what.
Like,
it's tipsy or drunk. Those are the options.
Yeah.
Tipsy or drunk. Yeah.
So I just think that there's, I don't know. There's so much heaviness. It would be nice to just kind of be humans together and like embrace the whatever it is we're all feeling. Because we've had a lot of intellectualizing of everything, you know?
Yeah.
People go to linemerch.com and buy the Chewed Gum shirts that we're all wearing today that you probably can't even see, but we got to make a thumb. We should do a Zoom event at some point where we only allow people to stay. We put the link out somewhere and you only get to stay if you're wearing one of these shirts.
Love it.
That's fun.
That would be cute.
Fun. Yeah, it'd be adorable. Here's the outro. Fuck this place. Sorry, this was the show. I hate this place. I hate being here. I hate that this is where we're going. I hate this country. Oh wait, I need to not play it that way. I need to play it. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that bad.
Wait, I feel like we should leave on like a slightly more positive note. I feel like, can we each give like one thing that we're gonna do that's gonna like help us cope? Is there one thing that you can think of? One thing?
Oh, I can think of one thing.
Oh, God.
An appropriate thing, Jimmy.
No, I got nothing then.
Let me think.
I'm going to the beach.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I'm literally going to hide at my grandparents' beach condo for 3 weeks.
I think that's a great idea.
I'm gonna get on the internet and yell.
Nice.
Okay, that's good.
I'll
I think
be
that's
there
more
good.
episodes
liking
of
all your
podcasts.
posts.
Yeah. I'll hang out with a special person in my life. That'll be a thing.
Do some stress relieving activities, maybe.
Yeah, probably in person. It seems like.
Wow, getting fancy. Our IRL.
Exciting. I'm gonna make a Botox appointment, and then I'm gonna actually attempt to take a sick day today and do as little as possible. I might read an entire book in a day. Who knows?
That could be good. That could be good.
Amazing.
I mean, today I'm going to be editing and stuff, and then supporting somebody who's having a tough day.
Yeah. Oh, I also want to be abundantly clear. The Botox appointment I'm making is for my TMJ, because as I've been sleeping and trying to, all of the stress, I've been grinding my teeth so bad.
Oh,
That's the appointment I'm making. I'm thrilled. Can't wait.
Yeah. I like when people basically go, I know you are, but what am I? I'm on Threads right now. Someone wrote, how can Kamala in good faith run for president knowing she's not capable? It's disrespectful to Americans. And then I wrote, how can you thread in good faith when you are incapable of intelligence? And then they wrote, those with inferior intelligence are incapable of identifying true intelligence.
Oh my God.
My new favorite response that I leave to men that are in my comments, they'll like leave some long-winded thing, and I just say, this sounds like something that you're dealing with personally. Do you have someone you can talk to about this?
And they're gonna say, no, I'm a guy. No one gives a fuck.
Right, yeah. Which is sad, and that is a great point. Which is why I'm half serious with my replying
Well,
to
find
them.
somebody. Get
Yeah.
therapy. Use ChatGPT in the meantime.
Secular
It actually
therapy
makes
project.
a great
It's a
therapist.
wonderful thing. Oh yeah, ChatGPT. I love to talk to
ChatGPT does
ChatGPT.
pretty good at therapy people.
Yeah, I've been
and people are
talking
gonna be like,
to
that's
it.
so irresponsible for him to say. You know what's really irresponsible is the fact that 90% of the people who need
Can't
to be in therapy
afford
are
it,
getting
yeah.
none of it.
Yep.
And so it's still better than that. Assholes.
You should give people therapy prompts. The
I'll demo-
therapy prompts you do.
Oh, you should.
I've been thinking about demoing it at some
should.
point,
It's a
like
great idea.
how it can work and how you can use it.
You should.
My hair looked good today.
It does look good today.
Your hair looks
Come to
good
the after
every day,
show. I'm going to
Jimmy.
show them a game called Infinite Craft, and we're also going to talk about our favorite recreational drugs.
Wow.
All right.
It's
gonna get real boring with
we're
me.
all pretty straight edge right now, right?
Yeah.
I'm so straight edge. I don't even wear condoms. Okay.
Oh
See you in the
my
after. That's
God.
a joke.
With a sex
That's a
educator in the
joke.
room.
Why,
I'm gonna
Jimmy?
kick your ass, Jimmy.
The joke. It's a hilarious. I didn't say anything about
Which
Puerto
Jersey
Rico.
Shore cast member do you think is voting for Trump?
Which Jersey
can't
Shore
believe-
member do you think doesn't wear condoms? All of them.
All of them.
We'll see you in the after show.